All right, everyone. Welcome back to the RichMind Podcast. And today, coming to you with a little bit of a different episode than normal. This is going to be a collaboration between myself and the RichMind Podcast and the All In Mindset Podcast with Justin Dorff and Greg Young. The two gentlemen have become really good friends of mine here in the last few months. And I had the idea just a few short weeks ago to, hey, let's see if we can't go live. Literally, we go live and we just try to produce some content based on some of our interests, some of the things that we're working on, whether it's relationships, whether it's business. This topic today was about building out a YouTube channel and what it takes to do that, how hard it actually is. Greg and I are peppering Justin with a lot of questions, and he got really detailed in some of the softwares that he used, the amount of time it takes to produce a video, and just a lot of nuggets of wisdom that if you have any inkling at all to start a YouTube channel, maybe you have a topic, or maybe you're interested in getting on YouTube, this is going to be a great place to start. As I mentioned, he shares a lot of detailed information as far as some softwares, even some of the equipment that he's using to create his videos. He actually, at the very end, I recommend hang on to the very end. He drops some nuggets of wisdom right at the very end that I think you're going to find very valuable. So go out there and find the All In Mindset Podcast. Follow Justin Dorff, follow Greg Young. You can find Justin Dorff's YouTube channel. It's spelled just like it sounds. So JUSTINDORFF. If you put that into YouTube, it should pull up, and you'll be able to see the quality of content that he's producing. And as I mentioned, he'll share with you how much time it's taking, the pieces of equipment, the software, all the effort that it takes to build out a YouTube channel to that quality. And you're going to learn how to do that in today's episode. So I hope you find this valuable. If you would, share it with your family and friends. And then also, if you could leave us a comment, you can also rate and review the podcast. You can go to my YouTube channel, just search for my name, Randy Wilson. And you can obviously check out the full video. We recorded this in video, so you can check that out there as well. So have a fantastic day, and let's jump in the episode. Are you looking for true personal freedom? The freedom to design a life you truly desire? Then you're absolutely in the right place. True personal freedom comes from when you take 100% responsibility and control of your money and your mind. Here, you're going to learn ideas, tips, and wisdom that's going to help you bridge the gap from where you are now to your dream life in the future. My name is Randy Wilson, and welcome to the RichMind Podcast. Yeah, so welcome, folks. Justin Dorff, Greg Young, myself. We've got the RichMind Podcast. We've got the All In Mindset Podcast, and it's kind of a little bit of a collaboration. We thought we would try to create some content based on all of our interests, right? I think we all have separate but similar interests, and I think that the collaboration together, I think will be super valuable for those that feel like and want to join us. So that's kind of why we decided to go this route and start creating some content. And so today, this is going to be the Justin show today.
Oh, see, I don't want the Justin show.
Oh,
you guys
signed up for.
You signed up for the Justin show.
That's what everybody's going to show
and
up.
Everybody just drops off.
Yeah. So we know that's not true. But yeah, the idea today though was the guys had a episode they go into, and maybe we can talk about that real quick as far as kind of your guys' sequence with podcasting. I would love to at some point on one of these episodes go into what we do, how we do it, the steps to get things done as far as creating the podcast. I think that would be super valuable to folks as well. But today, the idea was you had an episode Monday, and I'm going to leave it there. I would love for you to kind of go into what that was. And that's kind of what spurred this idea for me to reach out to you guys and say, hey, let's talk about this, because I think this would be super valuable. It pertains to YouTube, but we can apply it to so many different areas of your life.
Yeah, you can apply it to anything. So when I came up with the idea, what triggered it is, so I've got this love-hate relationship with marketing. Like, I absolutely love marketing because I love the psychology that goes into it. And I love figuring out how to grab people's attention and get them to pay attention. But what I hate is when everybody abuses that skill in order to dupe and trick people into the promise of really fast short-term results. And we all understand, like, everybody wants fast results. Like, nobody's going to buy a book that I publish that's like how to lose 10 pounds in just 10 years. Like, that book would not sell unless there was like some, weird premise behind the whole thing. But so that's what triggered that episode's content. And then, of course, I went into an example that I'm going through currently in terms of building a YouTube channel. But like you said, Randy, it applies to literally any long-term goal that you're working towards. I think a lot of people end up giving up too soon because of, we can list out a whole world of different reasons, whether it's expectations and not meeting those expectations. But I think a big reason is just not understanding the amount of effort and time and consistency that needs to go into reaching any worthwhile goal, because in today's day and age, and for decades now, we're constantly told that we can do this without doing anything. You can barely lift a finger and all of your dreams will come true. And that's where this idea for that episode came from.
And I loved it, meaning as soon as I heard it, I was like, yes, that is super valuable, because once again, it goes into so many different areas of your life. It can go into your health goals. It can go into your relationship goals. Both of us, we're both the three of us, but the two groups of us are trying to build out a podcast, right? And it's not you asked me before we jumped on and I didn't answer your question, and I'll do that.
You didn't. Yeah, you didn't.
I didn't. No, and I'll answer that question. Yeah, I'll answer that question later on. But at the same time, we're all trying to grow something that is not a fast process. It's a very slow process. Then it can be grinding and grueling. I just saw just before we went live today, Justin, you just released another episode, or I call them episodes. Another video. Maybe to your channel. So that's kind of what the idea was today with this process today. I would love to go into a little bit of the details, the weeds. Of what it actually takes to do that. I think today's video was 9 minutes, or give or take, maybe a couple seconds. I actually just watched it, and nice. So I know what it takes, because I do a lot of the editing of my own in the background, and I don't do nearly as much detail work as you do. Yours are very, very good, in my opinion, because I've watched so many different marketers and that kind of thing. But the point I want to bring that home with is that how much time it takes, but then you've got to consistently do it over and over and over, with the goal in mind, but not quitting too soon. It's like that escape velocity, right? They talk about the shuttle, right? And it takes so much energy to get that off the platform until it can get to the point where it's basically just operating free form or free fall, right? Without even, using much energy at all. So anyways, I'll kind of throw it over back to you, but that was kind of the idea of what I wanted to go in with the discussion today.
Yeah. So, do you want me to talk specifically like what it takes to start to build a YouTube channel? So
yes, I would love, because I think the number one, I'm interested in that. I'm trying to build out a YouTube channel as well, right? As I mentioned, I'm not as detailed as you are with building out your channel. We've had discussions in the past with you pointing out, do this. And it was like mind-blowing information. So I think number one, that would be super valuable to those that are catching us live, or those are going to kind of listen to this on the replay. And high level stuff like softwares that you use, the amount of time that it takes to create a 9-minute video versus a 3-minute video versus the reels are very popular today, right? The TikTok type style. So anything like that, I think will be super valuable, those that are listening to us today. But then after that, then I want to go into, the reality of and just, you got to keep going to the point where you're going to hopefully hit at some point and make an impact that you're really trying to do.
Yeah. And now I feel kind of guilty, because I feel like anybody who's out there thinking, man, it would be fun to start a YouTube channel. It is a lot of fun. I'm not trying to deter you from doing that. I just want to set, again, I'm like the anti-marketer. I'm not going to tell you, all you got to do is post some videos and people will come flocking to you. It's so much more involved than that. And I like sharing this stuff because I didn't understand it when I first started. And I wish people had have told me how involved it really is. You were asking about the time that it takes. Now, obviously, it's going to take varying levels of time depending on how comfortable and familiar you are with the content that you're creating, and then also what kind of content you're creating. To go live like this, like you can go live on YouTube. I think, Randy, you're live on your channel right now.
I sure am.
This doesn't take a whole lot of preparation because it's just a conversation. If people are looking for that type of content, this and this is perfect that Sean just commented here. Because I was thinking of Sean when you asked me that question, because I'm sitting here saying, like, for my experience building a YouTube channel is a very slow grind. Sean, I was going to bring him up. He's been like experiencing phenomenal growth. I talk to him like every day now, and I tell him this all the time. Like, why I think he experiences so much great growth is because he goes live. He has conversations for a very specific audience that's looking for help with what he knows about, and he's very genuine and authentic, and people can see that and feel that when he's presenting. So let me take a step back. I got excited because I saw Sean pop up, and Sean's
Welcome,
like,
Sean.
Yeah, Sean's like my hero. He's like crushing it on YouTube. He's been doing it for like, I don't know, 5-6 months, and he's at like 12,000 subscribers now. So he's but he's a great example of Sean is an outlier. And if you compare yourself to Sean and you're like, I've been doing YouTube for 5 months and I don't have 12,000 subscribers. Well, there's a bunch of different reasons why that might be the case. So the first thing that I will say when it comes to YouTube that I see I made a lot of mistakes with in the beginning, and a lot of the people that I collaborate with and talk with nowadays in the YouTube space, this applies to podcasting as well, is when you sit down and come up with the idea for the content, are you thinking about yourself first? Or are you thinking about the audience? Because a YouTube channel, a podcast, even a post that you put on Facebook, if you're trying to draw attention, it's about the audience. It's who can you serve? Who can you help with this content? And a lot of mistakes I see people making is creating really, really selfish content. It's like, I'm going to film myself on my phone talking about whatever I want, not even thinking like, who really cares? Like, nobody cares. You don't have 1 million followers. Maybe when you get to, 10 million followers, you can post whatever the crap you want and people will still watch it because you have the audience now. But when you're growing an audience, it has to be specifically for those people. So that's the first thing that might deter some people from YouTube.
So if you don't mind, you mind if I interject every now and then?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, otherwise I'll just keep rambling and lose my voice.
So the thoughts that are going through my mind are like keyword research, right?
Yes.
For specific, I assume that's what you're talking about, narrowing down your, you have an idea, right? It's like yours is fitness and weight loss, right? And I'm kind of just generalizing that, right? Yeah. So if it's different than that, let me know. But that's kind of what I see you. So taking that broad scope and then narrowing it down as far as you can in through keyword research. And then are there tools and all that you use to kind of figure that out?
I do, yeah. So I use vidIQ to do keyword research. I also do just kind of like autocomplete, autofill with YouTube and Google, because YouTube is owned by Google. So if I'm sitting around one day and I'm like, I would love to create a video on, like, for example, Sean here on the carnivore diet, I type in carnivore diet to YouTube and I see what auto completes, and that'll give you some ideas. Then I go to vidIQ, and that then gives me all of these different types of keywords, and I can choose which ones have high competition, low competition, high search volume, low search volume. That gives me a little bit more insight into, is this video actually worth my time to create? Because before I started diving this deep into it, it was just like I kind of just explained. It's like, well, I feel like making a video about how to do a 48-hour fast this week. Let's do it and see if anybody watches it. But if nobody's searching for that content, I'm going to spend hours creating this video, and then I get 30 views and I'm like, oh, I suck. I want to quit.
Of course. So then do you script out your videos, or do you just take it and generalize, you have keywords in mind? And that's almost like a personal question, because I'm curious on that part.
Yeah. I personally do a lot of scripting for my videos. Now, for like this live here, there's no script
Right.
because it's just question and answer. And that's why I say like going live gives you a lot of positives and a lot of negatives as well. It's a different set of skills to go live on YouTube and draw an audience versus creating a final packaged edited video that each line, like I'm not even joking, each line in probably the last 2 months, maybe a month and a half of my videos is strategically selected. So I go through my script at the very end and I'm like, I pull out the stuff that's like, this is just me talking. So it's nothing like this live stream here where I'm just blah, 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 blah. Like everything in there is like, what value does this sentence bring to the person who's, you know, paying me with their attention to watch this video?
Wow.
It's very detailed.
Yeah. And so once again, I don't think people will even realize how much effort it takes to.
It takes a crap ton for me. Yeah, it does. A metric crap ton.
A metric crap ton, folks. Yeah, I love that. So and we're talking, I've seen your videos as short as like a couple of minutes, all the way up to, like I said, I just watched one that was 9 minutes and some change, right? So we're not talking about small time information, right? And then the amount of effort that it takes to get that content produced is that's super cool to even know that you're doing it to that level. That's super cool, Justin.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's a whole process. That's where you start, is with the research. It's like, you got to ask yourself, is this topic, is this big idea worth my time creating? Because once you decide to go in on it, it is going to take you a considerable amount of time. Because once you decide, okay, this is my next video topic, now I got to do the research for it, right? And you can go all different angles of, I mean, just pick one topic. You could make 100 different videos on one topic easily. So it's like, what's the main point? What's the one main point that you want to get across to the person who's going to watch this video? And then you got to script it out, or you could just bullet point it if you're really good on the fly, right? Bullet point it, script it out, record it, edit it, thumbnail, title. Usually I create the thumbnail and the title anymore before I even come up with the script, because that's the hardest part I've found with YouTube, is getting people to click on it. So I don't want to spend 10 to 15 hours on a video if nobody's going to click on it anymore. Like
that's mainly, you're saying, because of the title and because of the thumbnail itself.
It's the three main things. It's what I call the packaging of the whole thing. It's the big idea, what's the actual topic of the video, the title of it, and then the thumbnail. The thumbnail and the title together are what kind of like stop people while they're scrolling on their phone or on their computer. But the big idea directs the title and the thumbnail. And I like to do the thumbnail and the title first, because again, like if I say I want to do a video on intermittent fasting, right? Like, what's the actual title? Because the title is going to dictate what's actually in the video. Because the last thing you want to do is be like, here's how to lose 40 pounds in the next 90 days with intermittent fasting. And then so they're like, oh, I want to do that. And they click on it. And then right off the bat, I'm talking like, I've been intermittent fasting for the last 10 years. And I'm going to show you how to lose 40 pounds with intermittent fasting. But first, let me explain to you what I did yesterday when I was riding my bike in the neighborhood. Like, people are going to click off because I'm not delivering on what I promised the video was going to be.
Understand. So then the title, do you use vidIQ for that as well? How do you determine what that is?
Oh, this has been a process. So there's a really good guy out there. His name is Jake Thomas, and his niche specifically is YouTube titles. These titles, though, this applies to like email marketing, to podcasting. It's not just YouTube. It's just good marketing. And I've been following him for probably a little over a year. And it took about 8 months of just consistently looking at what titles make me stop and click, what titles work for other people. And after a while, you start to pick up the patterns and determine, this would be a good title for a video. This would be intriguing and build curiosity.
So is this Jake Thomas? Is he on audio? Is it video? Where are you following him at?
So I subscribed to his newsletter. I also
Okay.
purchased a couple of his like lower level programs, like an online course and stuff, where he just kind of goes over like 300 different video titles. So there's formats and structures that you can kind of follow, and different nuances that almost always apply. Like people love numbers, people love verses, those types of things, but yeah, I think I picked up a lot from following him and a lot just from scrolling YouTube, what emails make me open up. I'm so weird. Like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with marketing. So when I go to the grocery store, I'll look at the front cover of those stupid magazines. I shouldn't say that. If anybody out there reads the stupid magazines, I apologize. I read them too because the titles are usually really clickbaity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know what is so baiting about the structure and the format of that title. It's like, what makes you stop and be like, oh, I got to read about how, Kate's mad at Prince William or whatever. Is that even who she's married to? That's terrible if it is.
I don't know.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that answer.
Yeah.
So then your thumbnails, can you talk about that? Because yours are very, I do thumbnails at times. I'm curious where you do them at and where you get the ideas even for that, right? Because once again, they're at a very high level. I can only imagine how much time it takes to even create a single thumbnail for a video.
Yeah, thumbnails is like the bane of my existence right now. That's the thing that I feel the least good at. And they take me a considerable amount of time right now because I usually come up with like 5 different ones. And then once I decide on one, tweaking it until I'm finally like, oh, that's good. And then I post it and nobody clicks on it. And I'm like, oh, I still suck at this. But I create them all in Canva simply because I use Canva for a lot of my B-roll footage anyway. And I don't, if I were willing to step out and learn another new thing at this very moment, maybe in the next several months I would use Photoshop, because Photoshop can make much crisper things. But what I found is there's some adjustments that I do within Canva that make them pop a little bit more. So
you're gonna have to share with me, or if you can,
Yeah.
maybe we'll do a Canva tutorial one of these times. You can even share with me what that even is, because I use Canva as well.
Yeah.
I'm probably not as proficient at it, even probably as yourself, but yeah, that's super intriguing.
Well,
So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the video that you just clicked on, the thumbnail that you saw there, that was, I mean, you see, it was the same background. And I used
that same chair.
Yeah, I used an iPhone and I just put it in cinematic mode. And the reason it looks so, the reason it looks the way it does, and it doesn't look like just a picture like right now, is because I make adjustments to the contrast and the saturation. I put some elements behind that you wouldn't even recognize. So like I'll put like a glow behind it and stretch it out so it makes me pop even more off of the background, or whatever element I want to stand out the most. Like I'll increase the sharpness and the clarity and the brightness of it. So when you are scrolling, like the first thing you see is the item that is the main focus of that thumbnail. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So it just takes time to learn the settings to even know where to even go to begin, but it's probably playing around with it as well, right?
Yep.
Trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, what pops, what doesn't pop.
Yep, exactly.
That's super cool. So I was thinking of, Greg, do you have any questions, man? I'm just hogging this whole thing. Surely
actually, I was gonna ask real quick on that setting for your pictures, the way you talk about the contrast and everything. Is there like a setting that you can like set it and forget it and it does it every time, or do you have to basically do that for every single picture that you do?
For every single picture, I select the picture and then I go in and I'll tweak the little knobbies. That's the technical term, is knobbies of the different elements. I mean, because some things, like if you increase the sharpness too much, it makes it look really grainy. So there are some fine adjustments, but it's like anything, right? It's just like what we do with our podcasting. The first time you went to your platform and uploaded your podcast or wrote the description for your episode, it took you a lot longer than it takes you now. Those things, like adjusting the contrast and the saturation and the sharpness of that, doesn't take me any time at all. Like what takes me the most time is figuring out will this actually make somebody click on it? Is this actually what the video is about? Because again, like, you want the title and the thumbnail to be it, at least this is how I operate. And I could be wrong. There's other people that don't do this, but this is how I do it. I want the title and the thumbnail to be clickbaity, but I don't want it to be clickbait, right? Like, my video will deliver on the promise of the title and the thumbnail, and therefore it's not clickbait, but it's clickbaity in that somebody sees it and they're like, oh, I need to watch that.
So just the idea of just good marketing, right?
Yeah.
Just trying to use good marketing principles, but you're marketing a product or your information that is going to deliver, like you said, on the message that you're promising within the description that you're trying to give.
Yep, absolutely.
So you mentioned B-roll, and I just, in case someone's listening and they might know what that term is or anything like that. Can you kind of just, what does that mean? And you said you use Canva for that versus, and we'll maybe go into some of the details as far as like the pieces of equipment that you actually use, right? I know you're mobile, like you're moving every month. And so you've got to have things. Yeah. So you've got to have things like ready to move at any moment's notice. Right. So, but first, just the B-roll comment as far as what that is. What you use it for, that kind of thing. I'm just curious.
Yeah. So like, if I'm doing a video that's reporting on a new research article, for example, and I'm like, so-and-so from this study group said this, the B-roll would be if I bring the study up and start scrolling through it and circling things on it. Or if I'm sitting here and saying, I use Canva for editing. Now the B-roll could be, it pops up me sitting in front of my computer using Canva would be B-roll. So the A-roll is the actual scripted out video. The B-roll just supports and supplements it. So I use Canva primarily, as well as what's built into my editing software. I have done B-roll that's myself. So like I have a video where I go to Sheets, like that big gas station convenience store, and I pick out like, these are the good snacks to get, these are the terrible snacks to get. And I shot all of the B-roll, but the script and the voiceover is the A-roll.
And that's just, so once again, thinking about the process to get that done.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Justin.
I know. And that's the thing, is like, people are just like, oh, I want to start a YouTube channel because I've got an idea. I'm like, good luck. I want you to do it, but just know going into
everybody should.
There's
everybody
lot
should
more
be online, but if you want to do it to a level that's, I would say, better than most, it's going to require a lot of effort and a lot of time. I guess that's maybe the story that's the what we're trying to express today.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, is like, I see my finished products and I'm like, I still think they're so bad compared to what I want to be able to do one day, you know?
But it surely can't be because of effort. Do you think, is it equipment? Is it software? What is it that's the difference? Do you think I'm sure you've done it enough times now, and even probably can't even be delivery. I mean, what do you think the answer is?
I think it's just repetitions. Is the more you do it, the more you do it, the quicker you're going to get at it. And the more things start to make sense to you without having to try so hard. It's just like any skill. It's like what I just said with the titles, right? Like in the beginning, my titles were garbage. I would try so hard. I would find good titles and I would just substitute a couple of words and be like, I think this is going to work because it worked for them. But after a year of reviewing this stuff over and over again, titles for me, and again, I'm not saying I'm an expert or anything, but titles for me, like there's people who come to me and pitch me their titles and I can make them better really quick. Thumbnails, I suck at thumbnails. And editing, I'm okay at editing, but I see other people's videos and I'm like, chew, like I wish I could do that, you know?
So do you need to try to hire some of that out at some point, or is it still
absolutely?
Do you?
Yes, absolutely. I will. The thing is I'm still in this, I'm still early on, right? Like I'm probably going to hit 1,000 subscribers this month. I say probably, I'm certain I'm going to hit 1,000 this month.
So folks, if you're listening and watching, Justin Dorff on YouTube, spelled just like it is here on the screen. You can listen to this on a podcast episode, because we might chop this up and create some podcasts out of this as well. So Justin Dorff, JUSTINDORFF on YouTube. Let's go follow Justin and get him well over 1,000.
Yeah.
Let's get him to 2,000 and more, right? That'd be awesome.
Well, yeah, and in general, it typically takes people 12 to 18 months to get to 1,000 subscribers. Out of all the people that are in the one program that I'm in, and just from following blogs and everything, like if you type in how long does it take to get to 1,000 subscribers, the average is 18 months, which is why I was so pumped when Sean jumped on here, because dude, when I met him, he was at 8,000 subscribers and he had been doing it for like 3 or 5 months. It's insane.
That's quick. That's
Yeah.
quick.
I was like, dude, how did you do this?
Yeah. So what was his answer to that question? That was my question. What did he do differently that, nobody else is doing? Or was it just he hit a good stride? Or what are your thoughts on that?
I've got my own hypotheses, and I've run these by him as well. I don't think he would disagree with them, and I don't know if he has any further insights now. I don't think he's still on here right now. I think it's a combination of multiple things with why he was so successful. He has an amazing hook, which is his actual story. So he lost 269 pounds in like 15 months. And people love that stuff. Like people absolutely love the topic of massive transformation. Again, what did we start talking about in the beginning of this? In a very short period of time, right? That's a very short period of time. So there was that component. The second component is that he did it doing the carnivore diet, which is a huge trending topic. If you go on Google Trends or even in vidIQ and you type in carnivore diet, it is this massively searched topic. Like it's a trending topic. Everybody's looking like, is this real? Like people are experiencing all these amazing results. Another thing that he did that I think was really, really good for his growth was he, like we're doing, collaborated with people that were much higher and had a much larger subscriber base than him. So like Dr. Ken Berry came on his live stream YouTube, and Dr. Ken Berry's got like somewhere between 2 and 3 or 4 million subscribers. So anybody who's looking for Ken Berry could potentially now see Sean's video, like Sean, because like I said, he's a very authentic, genuine, likable person. He's not out here just trying to get people to follow him for the sake of following him. He's actually the opposite. He's trying to help people, and they're like, I like him, and they hit subscribe, and he just keeps growing.
That's awesome. That's a great question. So the word that you used there that I'm really trying to hone in on in my own message is authenticity and being authentic. Just really owning your own story and being okay with it, knowing that it's messy, and we're all messy in a certain degree, right? But just really owning it, and then not being afraid to talk about it to the point where using that then as a solution, right? You talked about being clickbaity, but at the same time, if that's the message that's going to resonate with folks, kind of a hero, showing a beginning to an end, right? Even this YouTube channel, as you continue to get subscribers and succeed, that story of how you did it is going to be impactful. It's just a matter of the process of getting to that point. That's the hardest part.
Yeah, I think a big thing that I made a mistake with early on, and I see a lot of other people doing too, is because I'm a perfectionist too. Like I wanted to come across that I know everything and that I'm got everything figured out. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make. Like I said, I made it early on in the beginning too, because I want to present this perfectly polished version, but that perfectly polished version is not relatable to anybody else, because anybody who's going to be drawn to you is at home thinking, yeah, well, he's been doing this for a long time and he's got all this help and he's got all this time. And like, if I just tell it how it is, somebody at home might be like, oh crap, I guess I could do that too. And like, like when Greg and I first met, like one of the things I was trying to work on, it's actually laughable now that I think about it. One of the things I was trying to work on when I first met Greg was saying less when I spoke, which if you've ever tried to do is, it's so frustrating in the beginning, because then you just start not talking at all because all you can think about is don't say But the funny thing is sometimes saying actually makes people like you more, because it makes you more human, right? And less perfect and polished. It's weird. It's just strange psychology, but yeah.
I believe that. Like I said, I think that we're moving towards that more so. I think the folks that are maybe put maybe at a higher level than others with that they always say, don't compare your front of stage.
Yeah.
Or I might have that backwards, right? Don't compare your back of stage with somebody else's front of stage. I think that's how the way that sounds, right? Meaning these folks that seem to have it all polished and all figured out and all this stuff, you're trying to compare your mess that you're going through in your daily life to someone else when they've got people and they've got stuff and they're fixing this and they're fixing that and they're taking out all the ums and all the all the stuff.
Yeah.
It's just not real. And I think that reality and being authentic, I think that's going to be something very crucial moving forward for content creators such as ourselves, big or small. I don't think it really even matters. I think that that's going to be what draws people into what your message really is.
Yeah. Yeah. I still think like number one is always the actual content itself. If I come on here and like, seriously, we've joked about this before too, for the first like 2 to 3 years of going on camera, I hated it because I've always thought my voice was terrible. Like I think my voice sounds like David Spade, right? But you get used to it over time. I lost my train of thought. I know I had something decent to say there, but it completely left the building. But you know what? I'm human too. Like I don't have a script here. I have no idea what I was about to say.
But that's what it's all about. And I guess maybe that's what I wanted to even express with that thought is that it is messy. And we do a few edits in the background, even with the podcast, right? You can take out some long pauses or even some mistakes. I say things wrong all the time. You get tongue tied. You have just like you just did, right? Yeah. I could go in the background of a podcast or even a video and we can cut all that out and no one would even know it even existed except you and me or you, me, and no one's watching, but that's okay. It's all good, right? It's just fun. And that's where I just thought that it would be a lot of fun to get on here and talk about that and just realize that, just hit play, hit record and just go for it. Yeah.
You got to start somewhere,
it's not, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't just get started. Just get started.
You're speaking my language, Randy, because this morning we recorded a podcast and I wasn't feeling very well. Mid-sentence, I was like, I don't know where I was going with that thought.
I just said all the time.
I just said, stop. You're going to edit that out. I took like a second to like kind of regroup. And I do that. Yeah, we do it. I don't want to say all the time. I do it a little bit more than Justin, but it's just the nature of the beast. And I'm totally cool with it. And even, on these live things, like you said, like we're all human and but that's the beauty of the podcast versus going live and all that stuff. But it happens to me quite often. So I don't try to be perfect. I don't even want to be perfect, honestly.
Yeah. And I've shared this with you, Greg. You're getting better all the time. I've listened since day one, and you're getting better and better every episode. You can tell you're getting more and more confident every time you've been showing up. I don't know how many edits are in the background because obviously I'm not seeing that, but I would say that you're exponentially better today than you were back in May or June or whatever it was when you guys launched. So kudos to you to at least just step on there and just keep going, right? We just keep getting better, a little bit better. It's the reps that you talked about, Justin, and that's what it takes. Yep. And if you're not willing to put in the reps, you're not going to necessarily get the results. And that's, I guess, the biggest message I wanted to share with the audience today, whoever's listening and watching.
Yeah, I think that's a better way of putting it than how I started it off by saying, like, here I am going to deter you from starting YouTube. I don't want to deter you from starting YouTube. I want you to know ahead of time what I didn't know and what a lot of other people I feel don't or are not aware of going into it, is that it is a lot of work. There are a huge amount of skills that you have to get better at. But if you're the type of person that likes to get better at things and likes to learn new things and knows that you could differentiate yourself because you're willing to commit to a long game, then that's why it's so addicting to me, because I'll be doing this still in 2 years from now, and everybody who's dropped off, like, it won't even matter anymore.
Yeah. That's why it's super cool. So we'll probably start wrapping this one up unless you guys have more things to talk about. But one of the things I was hoping for you to do, Justin, is can you just briefly maybe, and I know you're not going to have a thing in front of you telling you exactly, but just list off some of the pieces of equipment, pieces of software. If someone is like literally listening to this and they're like, okay, I get it. It's going to be hard. It's it's months, it's years, whatever, but I've got a message and I need to share it.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to get on camera. but I don't know which camera to get. I
Yeah.
know I need a microphone, but I don't, you know what I mean? Can you just quickly, and it doesn't have to be like specific detail, but even just go look at this. I mean, the things that people would need to even get started.
Yeah, I mean, the first question you want to ask is what type of content do you want to create? Because that'll then dictate. If you just want to do live streams primarily like this, then the only equipment you need is a decent camera, a decent microphone, and a streaming software like this. This is StreamYard. This is probably the one that's most recommended. It's very intuitive. I was messing around with it. I've used Restream, which is also pretty easy to use, but this one, StreamYard, is easier. If that's how you want to do your content to start off, because it's easy to create, then that's what you need: a camera, a microphone, a streaming software. If you're going to create videos that are more edited, like the ones that I do, then you're also going to need an editing software. And I always tell people the one that I use is called Filmora by Wondershare. And I have it because it's very easy.
Is it spelled funky? Sometimes these names of these companies are spelled a little weird. Is
it's Wondershare is
okay.
Just the two words combined, Wondershare.
Okay.
And Filmora is just Filmora.
Got it. Thanks.
But what I always tell people is with an editing program, just pick one, and there's going to be a learning curve, and stick with it. A lot of people use DaVinci Resolve. A lot of people use Adobe Premiere. I used Filmora simply because that was the first one I came across that had a bunch of the things that I wanted in it, and I haven't switched yet. When it comes to a camera and microphone, there's tons of different routes you can go. If you're uncertain you're going to stick with it for the long term, I would go a cheaper route. You can get a microphone that plugs in USB style. What I would say too is check out Think Media on YouTube, and just type in Think Media best microphone for YouTube, best camera for YouTube, and they'll give you all these different options. There's really expensive cameras. There's really less expensive cameras, but in the beginning, I don't use anything super fancy. A lot of my videos are shot with an iPhone because the camera of the iPhone is banging. You know, you don't need to buy another $1,200 camera because I've got a $1,200 iPhone. You know,
Absolutely.
and then
So the iPhone, I just wanted to say that as well. I'm trying to help my wife create some content, and that's exactly what we're shooting it on, is an iPhone.
Yep.
And then uploading it into the cloud on a computer, but that's after the fact, right? But
Yep.
the iPhone camera and what the quality it produces is really super amazing. What actually you can do with that thing that's just sticking right in your pocket every day, everywhere we go.
Yep. And especially if you're shooting short form vertical content, you want to shoot directly on your camera, because that's the type of content that people are looking to consume when they're looking to watch reels or shorts. It's on your camera or on your phone.
And this is kind of the same subject, but I know we're both kind of using different AI tools to kind of create and help us with some of those clips. Is there one that you're using specifically that you would recommend?
I have used video in the past. I know there's a whole bunch of them that are the same. I don't know how all these companies are in business. They're all the same thing, minor tweaks in each of them. The AI that I use most often is ChatGPT to help me write the video descriptions for the videos, because I mean, let's be honest, like 99% of people who watch the video don't read the description anyway. And I just optimize the description for SEO and search. So I have ChatGPT write the rough draft for me, and then I go in and do the final version. So it saves me some time on the front end.
That's super cool.
I know there's people that use it for the scripting of their videos as well. And like you mentioned, the titles, it'll even give you thumbnail ideas, but I don't use it. I don't use it for that.
I use Bard. Bard is, Bard helps me. It's not great with like written descriptions. I haven't been able to figure out how to ask the right questions to get it to do it like a eloquent like description. But it's great at coming up with keywords and keyword phrases, obviously, because it is tied to Google and it is tied to YouTube. And so that's what I use it for. I almost take a generic description of a video or even a transcription. I'll plug it into Bard and I say, okay, come up with the top whatever keywords based on this current description, and it'll spit it out so fast. And then I'll take that information plus this transcription and plug that into ChatGPT and ask for, to use both. It's an amazing thing how quickly you can do that once you get processes and systems in place, and then it's just a copy and paste. It's really simple.
Yeah. Well, so you asked me about my scripting. I do most of my scripting out. Now I know there's some people out there that are really good with outlines and just talking on the fly. I like having everything scripted out. So I know that, again, every sentence is worthwhile. I'll take that whole script, drop it into ChatGPT and tell it the title that I have, and then it'll feed me the description. I also tell it what keywords I want it to use in the description. So the other AI that I use, if you're going to be serious with YouTube, is you probably want to invest in something like vidIQ. The other option would be TubeBuddy. What I use vidIQ for primarily, it does have AI stuff built into it, but what I use for it primarily is the keyword research.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's super valuable, man. I appreciate you sharing all that.
Yeah.
Greg, is there anything else that you can think of to ask Justin while we have him on the hot seat here about YouTube?
No, I'm good. I'm learning all about YouTube. So
yeah, you're starting your channel next week.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is all good information. So it's good to see what Justin does in the background, because I know Justin does 100% of all that stuff for our podcast. I'm not going to pretend that I do very much on the YouTube side. So it's cool to see the background.
Yeah. So that's why I knew this would be a super valuable conversation. I knew that you are doing it actively, very actively, every day of your working life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this one last question is, so let's say a 2-minute video versus a 9 or 10-minute video. Just give me a ballpark, beginning to end. How long does it take typically? Now that you're, I would say, seasoned and experienced, right? How many videos do you have uploaded to YouTube at this point?
Oh, it's probably like 170, but I bet you like 100 or like 80 of them are shorts. So if we're counting long form, I probably have like somewhere between 60 and 80 long forms. And I'd say too, like the caveat on that is probably only the last 15 that I've done are what I would consider researched videos. Like I researched ahead of time to determine, okay, I should make this video.
So with all those caveats in place, and I get it, man, but so at the same time, though, you're getting better, right? You're learning through those processes. So now that you've started from 0 and you're up to, let's call it 80, how long is it? So like that 9-minute video that just launched just an hour ago.
Yeah.
Give me a ballpark.
The 9-minute video. So usually what I do in order to save myself, I have two different, in my mind, formats of video. One's really engaging with lots of B-roll and changing footage. The longer ones are more about the content and just me kind of talking like I am now. In general, what I'll say is it takes about an hour per minute of editing.
Wow.
So if you're talking, so like on Monday, I'll release this video that's only 3.5 minutes long, and it will have taken me probably 3 to 4 hours to edit the final product. Now to write it, again, depending on how long it is, like that, and how much I need to do research outside of it. If it's something I just know already, I can create it. But if I need to research it a lot more, then that'll take time as well. So yeah, we're talking like the 10-minute video that released today in its entirety probably took about 15 hours of work, from research to recording to editing to creating the thumbnail, coming up with the title, creating the description, and posting those. Is probably 15 hours per a 10-minute video.
Some dedication right there.
That's the thing. So like that, I want to tell people that, not to scare them off or to be like, wow, look at him. He works so hard. It's like, that's the type of, like, if you think about the big YouTubers that everybody always compares themselves and others to, like Mr. Beast, right? Like he's the go-to because he's got the largest subscriber base. His videos take weeks and months to create, and however many hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you want to know, like, is this worth doing? And the massive team.
Sure. And you're a one-man band.
A one-man band, very boring videos in comparison to Mr. Beast's videos, but it's a different genre.
So I'm not going to let you stop us there, because no, I'm telling you, dude, your stuff is very good.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, we've only been recently introduced to each other in the last 2 or 3 or 4 months, right? So then I've been engaged with your content, and that's why I wanted to get you on. You are a YouTube expert, even though you are putting yourself down and not doubting things.
Well, it's the perfectionist, right? Like I know where I want to be one day.
But we all do, man.
Yeah,
we all do. You're asking me about the podcast. Yeah, I want to have a gazillion subscribers and sitting on a yacht recording video. But no, we're sitting in our spare bedrooms or
a metric
wherever.
crap ton of followers, right?
To get technical.
But the idea, though, there again, is that authenticity. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that, because
Yeah.
that's what I think will be super valuable to those that are listening, is the reality of what it takes to. So if you folks, if you go out and watch Justin's content, you will now have a special eye
Yeah.
for what he does, and
Yeah.
realize, because when I see him do it, I mean, I watch a video, I'm like, holy cow, because I just know the effort that it takes. So I've been editing my podcast in the background, which is simply just audio. I mean,
Yeah.
I have some video in there as well, which I just kind of chop it both at the same time, but it takes about twice as long
Yeah.
than the audio itself.
Mhm.
Sometimes 3 times, depending on the guest, meaning it depends on if there's a lot of ums, and I do try to take some of those out
Yep.
if they're really bad, right? Bad meaning just long. But it'll take 2 to 3 times the length of the audio or video to get a completed file.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, for you to say, what, 10, 15 times the amount of time to, yeah. So, yeah, that's why I wanted to have this conversation, man, because you're killing it. I really think you are. And you're just a matter of time for the right people at the right time to catch your message from going to the next level, and even teaching and coaching others. I think that could be something that you could do as well. And then, yeah, because it's just super cool what you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Greg, any other final words, man? I think we'll probably put a bow on this one and
Yeah, I got nothing.
wrap it up. And nothing at all today.
No, I'm learning, like I said. So this is all good. This is really insightful.
Yeah. So that's where I kind of had this idea, right? I think all 3 of us have different specialties, right?
Mhm.
I think we all focus on certain areas that I think that if we can just pepper each other with questions and be willing to be honest and open, just like what you've been today, Justin, I think that it can be, number one, super valuable for the listener, but then we can both all learn, because you're teaching us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where it's super fun.
Well, yeah, I just thought about that in terms of, like, you guys have written and been published authors in books. I've not done that. I've written blogs and stuff, and there's stuff I could learn from you and be like, what does that process even look like? How long did one chapter take you? Because I think everybody, I always generalize, but like knowing how I typically operate, I would sit down and be like, I could write a chapter in a book. That'll take me, what, 2 hours? And I'm sure it didn't take you guys 2 hours to do.
It's longer than you think.
Longer than 2 hours.
It's longer than 2 hours.
Right. You mean
Yeah,
ChatGPT didn't write that for you?
Yeah, no, I think that was before mine was before ChatGPT even came out. So yeah, it's definitely more than a couple of hours. But yeah, so mark that down, Justin.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind as another potential topic, because that's what I'm talking about. I think that if we can all just, you're the one that brought the word to my mind, right? The collaboration piece. If we can just collaborate together, number one, we're going to create some good content, some authentic content that we can all use, and that hopefully will be valuable to those that are showing up, listening, whether they're live or whether that's in the replay. I think it's going to be super fun.
Yep. Agreed. Love it.
So
Mic
folks,
drop.
yeah, well, there you go. I like that. Boom. So folks, we appreciate you being here, whether you have been joining us live or you're going to catch this in replay. We really appreciate your time. That's the most valuable commodity there is out there. And for you to spend it with us, we are really humbled, but super excited to keep bringing this to you, right? This was just a concept, an idea that I had, that I shared with the guys. They said, yeah, let's try it. And we're just going to give it a shot and go. And even after today's episode, I think this is going to be fun to at least go for a little while. And I think it can be super valuable. So if you would be gracious enough to leave us a comment, leave us a review, leave us anything to let us know that, yes, I like this. No, I don't like that. Try this. Maybe you've got a topic that the 3 of us would be able to hammer down on. We would love to hear that information as well. And then we'll just keep coming back. But keep in mind, if you want to learn more from Justin and Greg, the All In Mindset podcast, that's the place to go. Their content, I've been following them since the beginning, is getting better and better and better every single episode. And I really mean that, guys. I really mean it. It's getting better all the time. This last Monday's episode, the solo episode with Justin, is the one that brought on and spurred on this conversation here today. So I encourage you to go do that. And if you have a chance, the RichMind Podcast.
Yes. No, your podcast is good too.
I appreciate that. I'm trying. I'm having a blast doing it. That's been the most. It's fun. So even the editing process and the itty bitty thumbnails that I create and all that, it's just fun. Yeah. It's been a blast. And so Justin, and you helped me with coming up with some pivots and things that I've done. Same thing with you, Greg. We talk almost every week. So I appreciate the effort and the energy that you guys have given to me as well. So folks, I think we're going to call this live stream a wrap today. Go out there, follow us if you don't mind, share this with family and friends, and we'll look forward to coming back to you in the next week or two. We'll just kind of see how our schedules meet. All right, guys. Talk soon.
All right.
Yeah.
See ya. Thank you for joining me on the RichMind Podcast. I hope you found a ton of value in this episode. If so, I'd really appreciate a 5-star review, and you can also share it with your family and friends. And as my mentor Jim Rohn shared with me, in order to have more, you must first become more. And in order to become more, you must work harder on yourself than you do on your job. So go out there today and work harder on yourself to become more and build the life of your dreams. Until next time, my friends.